What would you recommend me titling my notes today? Like, what are we going over? Just so I can organize it.
We are going over section 1.1 and 1.2 today.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep. Also, on as you learn, you click on weekly checklist. Um, Section 1.1 and 1.2 are what we're doing today. And when you click on this, it brings up the problems we're going to do today. And then 1.3 and 1.4, if you click on this, it'll bring up the problems we'll do on Friday. So that way, story problems and things like that, you'll have a copy. You don't have to write the problem out. And so those are there. And then when you click on week 2, this Word document will show you everything we are doing this week. So this week on As You Learn, the 2 graded assignments are just Wednesday and Friday's attendance. So today's attendance and then Friday's. My math lab, you should work on chapter 1, section 1.1 through 1.4. And if you need more time on O through R, you still can take time. Also, my math lab, it is open until May 4th. There's dates so that you know where we are and what we've covered, but you can always go back and work on them and bring them up. So if one of them you didn't get to and you just decided to skip it, you can always go back until May 4th. When I've taught this before online, it was completely online. We didn't meet like we do in this class. And so I have some videos on YouTube. This group doesn't cover all the sections. They added a little more this semester. But a lot of the problems are here that you could watch. Also, like today's recording will be right here. I had a 12 o'clock class that I'll put up and a 2 p.m. I try and do it every night of the class or the following morning. But under the weekly checklist is where you will find the class recordings from that week. Any questions on that? That's everything.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe you said like most of the due dates in this class, they're all going to be on Sunday. Like they'll all fall on Sunday with like the math lab mastering things, and the attendance and everything. Is that
Yes,
true? Okay, thank you so much.
that is true. Um, they all will fall because I do have some students who are completely doing this online, not coming to class. And so I just make everything due on Sunday. Any other questions? Okay. Trying to think if there was any. I think that's everything. Um, if you haven't been able to get onto my math lab, the steps are right here. And if you're having trouble, oh, looks like the last one's over. Um, let me know and I will get you their emails and you can ask for more help. But it looks like the 19th, yeah, it was 11 to 12. Also, dates for exams. Our first exam is the in-class portion is Friday, February 11th. So the Monday and Wednesday we will review and the in-class portion will be on Friday. Notice there's 2 parts. The take-home part will be due on Sunday. Any questions on that?
What does the take-home portion include?
What I usually do, because in class everyone has different technology because we're online, I try and do more of the ones where you need to use technology so that you're not flipping back and forth during a test. Um, so it will be more of the computer parts of the class, or maybe a more detailed problem that I want to do. And then the in-class portion mostly will be more of the, I guess, shorter problems. Um, I also will do an outline and you'll know which ones will be on the in-class portion. Anything else would be on the take-home portion.
And will these be on my math lab?
No, they will be on As You Learn. So it'll be a Word document.
Okay.
You don't have to print it. You can just bring it up on the screen. And during the in-class portion, you will be on WebEx like you are now, but you'll have your camera on. And that's another reason I have that introduce yourself, so I know everyone can get on and everyone can put their camera on. So then I can watch. There's one program we're going to use today that maybe I would use on an in-class one, but for the most part, I try and make the in-class portion where you do not need any technology but a calculator. And then the take-home will use the other technology. The take-home portion, you'll have a week to do it usually, so I'll put it up on Monday, sometime Monday or Tuesday, and then it's due on Sunday. If you want to work together with people, you can, and you can ask me questions on it. It's more making sure you understand it for the final. Any questions? Okay. The 2 attendance problems for the week, they are up on As You Learn. Wednesdays, though, sometimes exponents don't show up for everybody, so I just wanted you to see ahead of time what it is. So this one would be for Wednesday, and then we'll go over slopes on Friday, so this problem will be for Fridays. But they are up on As You Learn on a Word document. You can also send me pictures of your work if you want to before you turn it in, because it's 1 point for doing it, it's another point for getting it correct. And I want to see your work. Any questions? So section 1.1 and 1.2, I had showed you the problems that you could click on. It will look like this. The first thing you want to know is definitions. A function is a set of values where for every x value, there is only one y value. The x values do not repeat. So if we had the table 1, 2, 3, add the points for x 1, 2, and 3, and y were all 5s. For every x value, there's only one answer. So it's okay for the 5's to repeat, but the x's cannot. So if we had another 1 and it had a different answer, then there's one x value with two different y values. That would not be a function. So if you have one x value with two different y values, it's not a function. The domain is the x values, and the range is the y values. When they're listed just individual numbers, then you can list them as a set. So the x values would be 1, 2, and 3. You don't repeat the 1 because it's already there. So it's just all the possible values, 1, 2, and 3. So then the range, which is the y values, is just 5 and -5. If we do not have a table, another way of finding if it's a function is called a vertical line test. You draw vertical lines. If intersect graph in more than one spot, it's not a function. So if we had this straight line, what you do is you draw vertical lines, and if it only hits in one spot, it's a function. So is a parabola a function? Notice when I draw my vertical lines, I'm only hitting the graph at one spot, so it is. Is a circle a function? Anyone? And you can, there we go.
No, it's not.
And you can always type in the chat if you don't want to say it out loud. But you're correct, it is not a function because when I draw a vertical line, I hit it at more than one spot. Any questions on that? Now let's look at this table. See? Okay. X is the inputs, and Y, which is the same as f of x, is the output. So the value -6 is an input, where f of -6 is an output. So f of x is the same as y. X is your inputs and y or f of x is your outputs. Any questions on that? We were going to list our domain and our range, just like we did in the last one. The domain is just all the x values. -6, -2, 0, 1, 4, 12, and 15. And the range is the y values, 4, 5, 8, 3, 0, 1, 2. Any questions on that? So let's find f of -6 and f of 0. This is saying what is the y value when x is -6? Because it's f of x. So we look at x is -6, f of x is 4. So what would f of 0 be? Anyone?
8.
When x is 0, f of x is 8. Any questions on that? Sometimes instead of giving us the x value, they give us f of x, and we need to find x. So what is the x value when f of x is 3?
1.
Yes. F of x is 3 is here. The x value is 1. Try one more. Find x when f of x equals 0. Anyone? 0 on the top and the bottom, so you need to decide which one to use. We're given f of x. F of x is the y value. So when f of x is 0, x is 4. Oh, I just saw. Sometimes I forget to look at the chat. So if you do ask a question and I don't answer it, let me know. Any questions on this one? So that's how you would read your table. This one, we're given an equation. And for the equation, we want to find f of 4, f of 0, f of -2, and f of 5. So let's start with the first one. Then you can find the other three and we'll check your answers. When you're finding f of 4 and you have equation, remember f of 4 is the y value. Inside here, this 4 is the x. So we plug this in for x. 4 plus 2 over 4 minus 5. 4 plus 2 is 6 over 5. 4 minus 5 is a -1, which gives us -6. I prefer fractions rather than decimals. Unless it's not a long decimal, if it's what's called terminating. Like the next one should be a decimal or fraction. But if it's 0.333333, I want 1/3. My labs will tell you if they want the decimal or the fraction, so be careful of that. And if they do want the decimal, they'll usually tell you what to round to. So when you plug in the 0, you're getting 2 over -5. No, that negative can be in the bottom, out front, or in the top. But it can only be in one spot. This fraction is a terminating decimal. If you take 2 divided by 5, you get -0.4. Any questions on that? Go ahead and find f of -2 and f of 5. What are you getting when you plug in -2?
0 over 7.
Oops, that's a +2. Yes.
So it should be 4 over 7.
You should get 0 over a -7, which is 0. How about when we plug in the 5?
Wouldn't this 7 be positive since it's 2 negatives?
No. Since we're adding,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. We add and keep the sign. If we were multiplying them, then it would be a positive. I always think of money. If I owe someone $2 and I owe them 5, then I owe them 7. But is there any questions on that? This one here, did you get the 0 in the denominator? Can we divide by 0?
No.
Exactly, thank you. We can't divide by 0. So when you do have 0 in the denominator, it's called undefined. Well, if you're taking a test and the word's just not coming to your mind, just put no solution is also fine. So either one is fine. MyLabs usually says find the value or state undefined, so then you know the word. When you're reading it, there's a couple questions on MyLabs that ask you, is y a function of x or is x a function of y? So when you're reading that, we know that f of x, y equals f of x. So y is a function of x. Equals means is. So y is a function of x. If I had b equals f of a, b is a function of a. So that you get the terminology correct, just put the equation and then read it. B is a function of a. Y is a function of x. Any questions on that? The revenue from sales of mountain bobbleheads is R of x equals 12x, where x is the number of bobbleheads and R of x is revenue. Sometimes revenue is tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars. If it doesn't state, then it's dollars. So if it doesn't state the units, we'll assume dollars. What is R of 100? So first we want to find it and then we want to interpret it. Well, R of 100, we're just plugging 100 in the equation. Is 1200. To explain it, remember X was the number of bobbleheads. So when 100 bobbleheads are sold, the revenue is $1,200. So to explain it, when 100 bobbleheads are sold, the revenue is $1,200. Any questions on that? What is the revenue from the sale of 2,500 bobbleheads? This is the number of bobbleheads. And that's what X is, so it goes in for X. So if we sell 2,500 Mountain Men bobbleheads, we will make revenue of 30,000. When it says write in function notation, that would be this. Any questions on that one? Part C says if the revenue is $5,616, how many bobbleheads are sold? Well, we're looking for the number of bobbleheads. We know that number of bobbleheads is X. I put it right here. And we're given revenue. So each time when you go to do it, you want to think about what they're giving you and where you should plug it. This time they gave us revenue, so we plug it in for revenue. So 5616 equals 12x. Any questions on that? Okay, then to solve it, getting x by itself, we would divide both sides by 12. So to make $5,616, we would need to sell 468 bobbleheads. Any questions on that? Number 4. An electric company determines the monthly bill by charging 85.2 cents per kilowatt hour used plus a base charge of 25.45. Now, in later chapters, we will just take that information and be able to write the equation. But for right now, they're giving us the equation. So F of W is the monthly charge, and W is kilowatt hours. And they're telling us that the monthly charge is in dollars. So the function is the monthly charge in dollars. W is kilowatt hours. They want us to find F of 500. And explain what it means. So F of 500 means to plug 500 in for W. And you just plug that into your calculator. Should be getting $451.45. That's F of 500, which is our monthly charge. And W is kilowatt hours. So when 500 kilowatt hours are used, the monthly charge is $451.45. And you want to be able to answer these in a sentence. So when 500 kilowatts are used, the monthly charge is $451.45. B says, what is the charge if 720 kilowatt hours are used? So we're given 720 kilowatt hours. You need to decide if it goes in for W or F of W. Well, this is kilowatt hours. Kilowatt hours is W, so it goes in for W. And I'm going to just plug it in. Get $638.89. Any questions on that? Section 1.2, the first part, they want you to be able to graph using either a calculator, like this one would graph, but there's no need to buy an expensive calculator. You can use a calculator online. So you want to go to, it's Desmos, DESMOS.com. So desmos.com. and then graphing calculator. And you may have used this before. And just type in the equations. So one of the equations was a straight line. Y equals 5x plus 3. There's our graph. If you need the x or the y intercepts, click on the line and it will show you them. So the x-intercept is negative 0.6 and the y-intercept is 3. Notice this one's going. Go ahead.
You show me super quick how, because I have a TI-84 calculator, how to like find on the calculator, like the points. Do you
Okay.
just click?
To find the points, x plus to find the intercepts,
Yes.
to find y, you can go here, the second in table, and plug in 0, and it will give you the y-intercept.
Okay.
To find the x-intercept is also called a 0, and you go second and calc into 0. So it's a little bit more detailed trying to find your x and y intercepts, because then you have to put a left bound. So you go to the left by pushing this arrow and hit enter. Then you go to the right of the value you're looking for and hit enter and then guess. And then you'll get your negative 0.6. So using the TI-83 or 84, there's a little more steps in finding your intercepts, but it still can be done.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you are interested in the calculator, I think I put it up. I don't know, I'll have to check. I didn't put it. It was a different class. I can put up a link and you get a 90-day free trial of the calculator. So if you want to use it for the final, you probably don't want to use it yet because you only get it for 90 days. But it's nice for the finance problems. But this Desmos is nice and it's free. Or x squared plus 12x minus 13. So we have x. Now for squared, you could use a caret. It's where the 6 is on your computer, and it'll bring you up. And then you put your 2, but then you gotta use your right arrow to get back down. So x squared plus 12x minus 13. Now this one looks like a straight line, but we know that x squared is a parabola. And because it's positive, it's a parabola that should be going up. Well, if I use the zoom out, you can see the rest of it. Another thing you can do if you're given a window to use, you click the little wrench and then you can change your window for your x-axis and the y. Um, 1/2 x cubed, 1/2, and then use your little right arrow to go over, and x caret 3. And an x cubed or a cubic graph looks like a snake. Any questions? Any questions? So those were the three graphs. And practice plugging different equations in there and getting used to what they look like. Because you want to make sure you know the straight line. This is a parabola. This one looks like a snake. The square root looks like a square root. It bends like that. Absolute value is a V. And that way you can get used to what they look like. Number 4. The amount of federal tax per person for selected years starting with 2000 and projected to 2018 can be modeled by this function, where T is the number of years after 2000. What are the values of T that correspond to 2012, 2016, 2020? So sometimes instead of T being the year, it will be the number of years after a certain area. So in this case, T is the number of years after 2000. So if we wanted T for 2012, it would be 2012 minus 2000, or 12. So instead of plugging in 2012, you plug in 12. For 2016, we subtract 2000 and we get 16. So 2016, you'd plug in 16. So you need to make sure what they're talking about right here. Sometimes it's 2000, 1990, 1985, depending on what they're working with. $2020 would be 20. Any questions on that? So they want to know the federal tax of F of 18. They want to know what year it is and then what F of 18 is. So F of 18, we would plug it into the equation. No. 2.480718 cubed minus 52.25118 squared plus 528.68 times 18 plus 5,192.6. And if I plugged it in correctly, $12,246.96. So in 2018, the federal tax per person was $12,246.96. The reason I got the 2018, to find T, we subtract 2000. To find the year, you add it back in. Any questions on that? When we're finding the window, I showed you the little wrench you can click on. We were going from 2000 to 2020, then our window would be 0 to 20. We take that 2000 out, because T is going to go from 0 to 20. Now, if you want, I usually go a little bit outside of that. I'd probably go -1 to 21. That way then I can see all of my points or my graph. But they wanted 0 to 20. Any questions on that? Okay, the other thing I want to show real quick is graphing points on Desmos. Also, we're going to go from the year 2000 so that my X value will be 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, and 16. That way it makes my graph a little smaller. They didn't really specify here, but I think that's what they wanted. So if we go to Desmos, delete this. To do points like that, it's called a scatter plot, and it's under statistics. So you click on the, some people call it a hamburger, but the 3 lines, and then go down to statistics, and you want the linear regression. We're going to do a project when we get into this section where you'll have to find data. So you want to be able to use this. So if we go under statistics and open it, we can enter our points. There we go. So we're going to go and enter the X values, 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, and 16. And then the Y values, 30, 60, 170, 260, 480, and 620. And you'll notice we're not seeing the whole graph. So what we could do is go to our wrench and then put your X values. My X values are going from 9 to 16. So maybe I want to go from 8 to 17, so it will show all the points. And then looking at my Y values, my smallest Y value is 30, so I'm going to go with 25. And 620, so I could go 625. So anything outside of those. We can see the whole graph. This line going between them is called a trend line. And here is the equation, and we'll get into R squared. The closer it is to 1, the more exact the estimate is for the line. But this section just gets into drawing it, and then if they asked if it was an exact value or an exact line, it would not be because all the points are not on the line. If all the points are on the line, then it's an exact relationship. Any questions on that?